there, my fascinating Renaissance friends. The Greeks did not romanticize love, meaning they did not tell you it's perfect, it's going to be forever, it's going to be the only thing that makes life meaningful. No, they did not romanticize love. In fact, they respected it. Okay, so that's why love stories in Greek mythology are never simple. They are not sentimental. They teach you lessons. So, my fascinating Renaissance friends, there comes a point or time in life. This doesn't happen when we're young, it happens now that we are in the autumn of our life, that we stop rushing for answers. And we prefer to sit quietly and ask better questions. Okay, and this channel is just the space for those types of conversations where we talk about life in all its realities. Okay, that life is complex, okay, but it's beautiful and unfinished, meaning unfolding yet. And not because we want to dictate to everyone how they live their own lives. No, but we want them to sit quietly and dig deeper. Okay, how life is unfolding and how they are being impacted by it. So welcome to my season of life, 60 years and beyond, and this is your co-sojourner. This is your um, fellow sojourner. This is your life coach. This is your mentor, navigating, what it means to live the good life, the autumn of our life. So welcome to episode 167, and we are still in all about love, being February, the month of love. Okay, so today, okay, I'd like to revisit three Greek myths, yeah, and learn from these stories, not as fairy tales but as cautionary tales, so that we can navigate, love at this point in our lives, a lot more real, a lot more authentic, and a lot wiser. First, what do you mean by Greek mythology? Okay, Greek mythology is a collection of stories, okay, stories, mythology, myth, collection of stories, legends, okay, and tradition, all right, that deals with their set of goddesses, heroes, and heroines. I'm sure you've heard some of them, like Zeus. Okay, the king of the gods is he's the chief god. Okay, you have heard of Aphrodite, the goddess of love. How about Athena, the goddess of wisdom? How about Hercules, who is a hero, a strong man? Hades is the god of the underworld. How about Poseidon? Okay, sea, the god of the ocean. And let me see. Um, Hera really is the god of marriage. Apollo, other Apollo. Okay, so represents the sun and music. And Artemis, the hunter. These are all characters in Greek mythology. Okay, so we will study three of them. Okay, the most common and where we can be wiser as a result. So the story of Eros and Psyche. Eros. Where did we meet Eros? We met Eros in the in episode 164, the six types of love from the point of view of the Greeks. Eros is romantic love. Okay, it's sex, it's attraction. So Eros is Cupid in our days, like Cupid with the arrow. Okay, so that's Eros. Okay, and Psyche. You've heard about Psyche. Okay, for the Greeks. Okay, so no, in psychology, psyche means combination of heart and mind. Here, okay, Psyche is a mortal. So there's this god, Okay, falling in love with a mortal, which means a man. Remember, that's mythology, okay? All right, so for most people, because Eros is Cupid, this is supposed to be a love story, a romantic love. But it is a story, it's a very tragic story, about about being worthy of love. Okay, okay. Psyche was loved by Eros. Eros loved Psyche very much. Problem with Psyche being mortal, she doubted the sincerity of his love, and that doubt cost cost her, okay, the loss of Eros, because she continued to doubt his love, and so that created a lot of troubles, a lot of problems, and she had to undergo lots of trials, lots of what? Of hardships, just to win him back. That is the gist of the love story between Eros and Psyche. But what's important here is what? Love does not remain as it is, forever. Meaning, Psyche was loved by Eros, but there are many times that she doubted him because the manifestations or his actions are not always the same. But Eros loved her dearly, and so she doubted him all the time until it exasperated Eros, and to get him back, she had to undergo trials. Okay, because what she really wanted was Eros to be always the same Eros, day in and day out, without considering the fact that he has other sides of his personality. Okay, I'm reminded of the statement, or it's a song. Stay as sweet as you are. Very romantic, but it's not very real because love grows. Love undergo evolution. In the second half of life, you know, the second half of life, even if we love our partners or our significant others or love our children, whatever it is, it is not exactly the same as when we started with them. Remember the 5 stages of love? If you've been married like us, I've been married, for we've been together for 42 years. Okay, we've lived together for 17 years, and we are married for 25 years. So that makes what? That makes 42 years together. Well, I can tell you that that the depth of our love is a lot deeper, but of course it is less, exciting as the first time we met. All right. Why? Because it is not about intensity, it is about maturing and developing. That's what we learn. Okay? Now, how about the love story between Orpheus and Eurydice? Eurydice. Eurydice. Okay. Huh. Very, very difficult to pronounce. Now, who is Orpheus? He's in the Greek mythology. Okay, he is a talented musician. He fell in love with Eurydice, who is a nymph. A nymph is our equivalent of a fairy, because this is Greek mythology. Okay, a fairy. Okay, few love stories are as haunting as that of Orpheus and Eurydice. Okay, what? They were about to get married. On the wedding day, Eurydice, was bitten by a snake, and she died on the wedding day. And in Greek mythology, when you die, you go to the underworld, which is the king of the underworld is called Hades. All right, and so she was brought there, and Orpheus was so what was so grief stricken that he followed her in Hades. and beg the god, okay, to let him lead out Eurydice from the underworld so she gets to live again. Well, he was given that permission on one condition. He will lead Eurydice out, but he, Orpheus, must never look back. Otherwise, Eurydice will stay in the underworld. Okay? He could not resist. So when he was already, escorting her out, okay, he looked back out of fear because remember, Orpheus is a mortal. Okay, isn't it when we are when we are escaping danger? You know, when we're escaping danger, so we start to look back and see if the one chasing us is still far or near. Yeah, that's natural, and so that's what our Orpheus did, and of course that thwarted everything. Okay, so what can we learn from this love story? Looking back, looking back represents doubt. He doubted that he can actually do what is required, to bring back his love. Okay, so it represents the inability to trust the process, to trust the other person completely. That's doubt. Basically, it's somehow related to, remember, Psyche. He could not completely trust Eros. The same thing, the doubt, okay, that is in the process. And how many relationships do not last because they doubt that it will last? They're always seeing that, because of this and because of that, I don't think we're gonna last, 1 year. I do not think we're gonna last forever. There's so many things, that you doubt. You lack the assurance of love. And so it breaks down. Okay. So it's to what are we being taught here? To loosen our grip. So it's not so much certainty. It's always to be sure I'm going to grip. I'm going to hold on. So you don't allow the other person to grow. You just make sure that that you hold on to them. You cannot even see yourself letting her vacation with her friends because she must always be you know by your side because there's not complete trust in there, so it gets destroyed. Okay? Now the last love story is that between Hera and Zeus. Now this is controversial. Hera, okay, you know um, represents Maris, and Zeus, okay, is the chief of the gods, Okay, so contrasting personalities. Zeus is powerful in Greek mythology. He is powerful. He is domineering and very unfaithful. He was totally a jerk. Okay. he was unfaithful to Hera many times. Hera is loyal, dignified, and enduring. Okay, you see something here? So here is a long suffering martyr wife and a what? And a serial philanderer for a husband. Okay, and yet she's stuck with him. All right, she's stuck with him. So now you're asked. Now you see what are we saying here? Staying in a lopsided relationship is always viewed as noble. That's what most people say. Oh, very noble, very sacrificing. And when some women can't take that because it violates them, they leave and it is seen as betrayal. Why did she leave him? She should have stayed. Okay. Well, I'm not going to debate with you that. I'm just telling what this represents. Okay? So when you ask, when does loyalty become self-erasure? Meaning, you're loyal, but then you forget all about your own values and just stick it out. Okay, that's erasing yourself. When does endurance cost too much? Because Hera stayed, but at what cost? Okay? Now, to put it together, the Greeks never believed that love is enough. Love really needs discernment. It really needs character. It needs self knowledge. Because if it is lopsided, then perhaps it is not real love. Okay, so, my friends, again, let's continue this discussion, all right? And we learn more about how it is to live in real, not in some kind of fantasy and illusion. Until then, may you continue to age gracefully, wisely, and elegantly. So, this is Malu Cervantes, saying goodbye.